Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the year. IEM Katowice 2025 is about to begin, one of the most prestigious events we have in the calendar, one of the biggest events as well in terms of prize pool. All the top teams, all the best teams in the world competing for this one. A lot of money on the line, a lot of Valve ranking points on the line, and obviously winning it is massive for any of these teams. But before we dive into who are the main favorites, who we should be taking a look, and who should we keep an eye during IEM Katowice as a whole, we have to talk about the play-in, because there is another 16 teams competing for 8 spots in the main tournament, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. So first of all, let's dive into who do we think goes through the next phase. And on this list, we have only Liquid, Heroic, Complexity, Eternal Fire, 3D Max, FlyQuest, Astralis, MIBR, Pain Gaming, Virtus Pro, Sol, Gamer Legion, Wildcard, Big, Imperial, Female, and Furia. All these teams battling for 8 spots. And we're going to try to predict a couple of these matches and gambling, obviously. And then we will see who are most likely going through. And then with this one, then we're going to be thinking about the next phase with all the top teams and all the rest. All right. So let's go straight to this one. And to begin with, we have Liquid Heroic. And in this one, I think that Liquid Heroic, first of all, they already played against each other and Heroic won. I think in this series is going to be a lot more mind games, but I really do believe in Heroic's preparation. Saul as a coach, I think they did an excellent job last time, and I think it's too much of a task for Liquid right now to be able to figure Heroic out in a short period of time. I think Liquid is going to put up a greater fight, but I think Heroic wins in the end either way. So it's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Heroic for this. Complexity, Eternal Fire, I think, honestly, it would be unbelievable if her Complexity is able to beat Eternal Fire after what Eternal Fire showed us at Blast Bounty. I'm just going to straight up go with Eternal Fire in this one. 3D Max, FlyQuest. Yeah, FlyQuest did great in a couple of their recent matches, but are they good enough to beat 3D Max? The problem with 3D Max is like the last official I saw from them was really underwhelming, like really bad. So you know what? I'm going to believe in Magic here, and I'm just going to go with FlyQuest in this one. 3D Max, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's closer than you guys think. I'm just going to go with FlyQuest. And then Astralis MIBR. This is also a close one, but what we saw from MIBR in the last official, it wasn't pretty, right? They actually lost to FlyQuest, if I'm not mistaken, 2-0 after beating them super comfortably at the major. I think it was a terrible start. I think Astralis did better against Navi in the match they played, so I'm just going to go with Astralis in this one. Paying against Virtus Pro, another tough match. Honestly, this one could go. It is 50-50 in the sense that I think VP pulled up a great roster for the season, and I think they have tons of potential as well, firepower and everything. But I think just the momentum from Pain Gaming, just, if you understand the fact that they could have and should have beaten Navi 2-0 at Blast, I just cannot go against Pain Gaming at the moment. I think they have the momentum coming to this one, so I'm going to go with Pain. Also Brazilian-based, whatever, but there is. Sol against Gamer Legion. This is another 50-50 game, honestly. But I think Gamer Legion has more talent, and I think Sol looks kind of lost after they lost a host Dossier and U-Jerks. They're two most important players, most valuable players last year at least. So I'm going to go with Gamer Legion in this one. Then we have Wildcard against Big. I think Big has looked really good in the last couple of fishes I watched. Wildcard, being from NA, not having the pleasure to practice on a constant basis against European opposition, I'm going to go and side with Big for this one. And then Imperial Female against Furia. Can they actually do it? No, they cannot. I'm going to go with Furia in this one. With that said, we have the lower semifinals. Let's go through these first, and then we go back to the upper brackets. Liquid Complexity. Liquid takes this. 3D Max, MIBR. 3D Max in this one. VP, so I go with VP. Wild card against Imperial Female. This one, I'm going to go with wild card, but I think this is closer than you guys might think. And then from here, we already have 4 teams, right? Liquid, 3D Max, VP, wild card. And then here, Heroic, Eternal Fire. I'm going to go with Eternal Fire. FlyQuest against Astralis. I'm going to go with Astralis. Wow, that's a pretty good bracket for Astralis, right? They have it. They should have it. They should have one of the spots. Pain Gaming against Gamer Legion. I'm going to go with Pain Gaming. That's a really good bracket for Pain as well. And then Big against Furia. That is a tough one because Furia often struggles massively against Big. And honestly, if we're talking about the Furia that I saw last couple of officials, I have to be honest here. I'm going to go with Furia. Oh, wait. I'm going to go with Big. Sorry. And then this becomes a massive issue for Furia. If you're a Furia fan like I am, that would basically mean we would have a lower final Furia against Liquid for a spot at the event. And that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. I would have to go and check the map pool, see what Furia looks like. Man, this is a tough one. But you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go with Furia. But I think this is a really, really close game. I just cannot believe Furia is not gonna make it to the main stage. So Furia in this one, based, I know, but I'm gonna trust on them, at least this time. Gamer Legion against 3D Max, close one. I'm gonna go with Gamer Legion. I don't believe in this 3D Max roster after what they showed in the last event. VP FlyQuest, VP all the way. Heroic Wildcard, Heroic all the way. With that, guys, we would have all 8 teams going through the main stage. Eternal Fire, honestly, shouldn't even be on this list. They should definitely be at the main stage already. Pain Gaming, I would say the same. Astralis, Big, and then we have Furia, Gamer Legion, Virtus Pro, Heroic. Pretty good list. Who are we missing that could potentially be here? 100% Liquid, right? Liquid also deserves to be here. I would say more than Gamer Legion and maybe more than Astralis as well. Other than that, I think it's pretty competitive. But well, after that, we have this amazing list, these amazing teams waiting for them. Pretty easy, right? You have Spirit, Gamers 2, G2, Navi, Vitality, FaZe, Mouse, The Mongols, and somehow Falcons. Literally somehow. Honestly, pretty nuts that Falcons is on this list, but they are in this list because they carry the points from the Heroic roster. Tesis, Dexter, and Kishan, they are the ones to blame for us having Falcons in this list. Not to blame, but you know what I mean. Anyway, with that said, we don't know the results yet, right? We don't know who plays against who or what's going to happen or whatever, but we can try to imagine between that list that we just did, right? Furia, Gamer Legion, VP, Heroic, Big, Pain Gaming, Astralis, Eternal Fire. Let's try to select 3 teams out of this list. I mean, we could select 4, but I think that's too much because I'm going to be selecting more teams from the other stage. So let's just say 2 to 3 teams from this list that we think actually have potential to make it to the playoffs to begin with. Let's go to the playoffs to begin with. Who could go to the playoffs here? I'm going to say the first one has to be Eternal Fire, 100%. Easy, quick and easy. Who else? Pain Gaming, I think they have what it takes to surprise some of the top teams and actually make it to the main stage. That would be massive. That would be literally their most important result ever as a lineup. But that I could see that happening with what they showed at the Blast Bounty. Big and Furia, not really. I don't think they're ready yet. Game Edition, they're not ready yet. VP, they are not ready, I guess. And then Heroic. So I think this one is pretty easy. I'm going to go with Eternal Fire, Pain Gaming, and Heroic. They are the 3 teams from this play-in stage that I think could actually surprise at the main stage. Now we go to the main stage with all the top teams. From this list, who are the favorites to win the entire thing. First of all, who are the favorites to make it to the playoffs? Obviously, I'm going to go with Spirit. I'm going to go with Navi. And the Mongols is still a question mark for all of us, right? Mouse without Huey, I think that's a massive question mark. We cannot, judge anything before actually watching them. FaZe Clan with a leash, questionable. Vitality with Robs, yes, I guess we have to say Vitality. Honestly, if I have to pick between G2 and Vitality, I would side with Vitality right now, simply because G2 cannot have Snacks pulling up the performances he is on a consistent basis. If they do, then they need Monesi, Malbs, and Heavy God to be pulling miracles. And since we're talking about a super stacked tournament among the best teams in the world and one of the most prestigious events, I'm going to say that either Snack steps up or I think they won't make it. And since I don't see that happening, I'm going to go with Vitality in this one. So if I had to choose 4 teams from this list, my 4 teams are Spirit, Navi, Vitality, and the Mongols, okay? And then, obviously, we could... I mean, it's pretty difficult, right? It's pretty difficult to predict, like, playoffs and everything. I think with this list, we would have Eternal Fire, we have Heroic, we have Pain Gaming, Spirit, Navi, Vitality, the Mongols. Between these teams, who do we actually think has what it takes to actually win the whole event? Well, this one is pretty easy considering what happened at Blast recently. I mean, right now I just think Spirit is on a different level, completely beast performances by Donk and the team as a whole. I think Chopper is doing really well as an IGL as well. I think they have a solid map pool. I think the Navi, if they play the way they played at Blast, I think it's going to be challenging, but I think just because of their mental fortitude and the way they're able to come back into games, I think they could possibly do it. But I think when it comes down to a grand final, for example, against the likes of Spirit, I honestly cannot see them winning the whole thing against Spirit right now unless they pull, I don't know, some kind of a miracle performance, maybe JL, maybe, I don't know, they try a different approach and actually surprise Spirit somehow. But it's a difficult one. The Mongols on stage, again, they had the experience at the major. Do they have what it takes to actually win the whole thing? Honestly, it's challenging, but I would love to see the Mongols roster going further. Vitality, are they ready already to win the whole thing? I mean, the only chance for me Spirit loses this tournament is if somehow it get into their minds that they are actually winning everything, and then I don't know, they just have an off day and end up losing or getting eliminated before the playoffs. Because I think once they make it to the playoffs, I think it's going to be even more harder to beat them. So honestly, I'm just going to say Spirit is going to win Katowice. That's the way I feel, and that's what I see right now. I can't see a single team challenging Spirit right now. I mean, it's just super difficult, right? Between this list and Eternal Fire, honestly, I think that Eternal Fire is probably the one that could challenge them the most, considering they already played against each other and they had a great final. And, Eternal Fire could come with a different approach as well and actually try to surprise, because, it's a difficult one. I would say between this list, I would say Eternal Fire, Spirit, and I'm going to surprise here. I think that Vitality is going to come better prepared, and they're going to surprise us in Katowice. So I'm going to go with Vitality, Spirit, and Eternal Fire. And I want to know from you guys down below, who do you think are the main favorites to win IEM Katowice? Simple as that. Cheers.